Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hello, everybody at home, and welcome to Houselights, specifically the Ephron hallway. We're taking a little bit of a departure this week and next week because, frankly, we wanted to, and it's our podcast, and we can do what we want. Last week, we talked about When Harry Met Sally, which was not directed by Nora Ephron, but it was written by her. And so this week, we are taking Sleepless in Seattle, that came out in 1993, which was directed by Nora Ephron, and talking about it. And you know what? We kind of wanted to keep going in that vein. And so next week we're doing You've Got Mail, which wasn't directed by Ephron, but it was written by her. And it's also starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, just like this one. So thank you so much for tuning in, downloading, subscribing. Make sure to go to thenerdputty.com for all of our backlogged episodes and all of our other directors that we have talked about and all of our different categories that we've ventured forth into. And make sure to check out some other shows while you're at thenerdparty.com, because we got something for everyone, something coming out every single day of the week. And with me tonight, as they always are, is Darren and DC Moser and Insomniac in Idaho Mills. I am so excited to talk about this tonight because, John, this is your first time seeing Sleepless in Seattle.
Indeed, this was a missing frame for me, as will You've Got Mail be one as well. Grammarly things,
Okay.
words together go.
So when did you immigrate into this country?
Well, I remember the ad campaign for Sleepless in Seattle. I also remember that it was during the time when I was most active going out into the world, having lots of fun and not getting many dates, as a side note. And so I wasn't much for going to the romantic movies back then. And it just sort of like, it was always there. Seriously, it's just like,
I was gonna say, this wasn't stacked up against Batman or anything. So, you know.
yeah, no, I mean, 93 wasn't even a particularly strong year, as I recall it.
Jurassic Park was probably the biggest one I could think of. But.
Yeah, but I mean, like Jurassic Park and Schindler. So it was like year of Spielberg, and like everything else was like, what else happened? I struggled to remember. I mean, Philadelphia was 93 as well, right? Wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah,
this was also a June release, so it was which is kind of seems like a weird time for a summer.
But you know, it's one of those ones where you keep hearing about it, and you I think you were saying with When Harry Met Sally, it's like, yeah, I'll get to it. Like I'll get to it, and your queue keeps growing, and then eventually you gotta wait for podcasting to be invented, and then somebody say, hey, you want to watch that? You go, sure, why not? And there you go, and here we are.
Darren, what's your relationship with this film?
I'd seen it before, but it had been a little while. Oh gosh, I couldn't even tell you when I first saw it. It was most likely on a date, just putting in a movie. It's just one of those quintessential, chick flicks of, it's Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks. Like, you could just make a lineup of Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, and this would be right there in the middle of it. So, it's very 90s. I love the looking things up on the computer montage as we're like,
yes,
it's not quite the internet, but also it's not like War Games. It's kind of in the middle.
It's very LexisNexis, but it's not the way things really were back then.
Darren, it sounds like you've seen it before, had seen it a long time. John, you've never seen it before. I am on the complete opposite side of the spectrum.
You got it in Blu-ray, you got it in 4K, you got like the special collector's poster. That's what I'm expecting you to say.
Autographed
next,
laser disc.
Yeah, like taped off a TV, then a VHS, then a DVD, then a Blu-ray.
You got the McClunky version. You got everything.
McClunky. Yes, no, I was basically raised on this movie. My entire family loved it. Like all four of us, like not just me and my parents, but also my sister, and which was, she's kind of the black sheep of the family. And so it was really important and special to us. We would quote it constantly. There's little things that would just like pop up in our lexicon. Like during Christmas, it's impossible for me not to go horses, 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 horses. Like sometimes even if it's not Christmas, and
That
I
is
just
a
see a
memorable
horse,
moment. Yeah.
I just sing it the way that Meg Ryan did, and it's just it was interesting because John, you talked about it being a rom-com, and last week we talked about when Harry Met Sally was considered a rom-com, and in me personally, I was thinking like, actually no, I think we quote unquote, like we were talking about how some people would call it quote unquote a chick flick, and we're like, oh, like, are people calling it a chick flick just because it's a rom-com? And to me, growing up with this kind of stuff, this was just a comedy to me. Like, it wasn't a chick flick, it wasn't even a romantic comedy, it was just a comedy, it was a family movie. Like, that's what it was to me. And so I enjoyed it as a young lad, like not looking for something to inspire me to go find my perfect love. I was Jonah's age when I was watching this. And it was this was just a hilarious movie with a lot of heartwarming moments.
So
And
wait, if you're Jonas's age, does that mean the best scene was like when he just books his own plane ticket and just takes off for? Is that every kid's? That's like blank check territory where you're just
Yeah,
like,
and
yeah, this is great.
and just to wade in on this, while it was a lot easier to fly in the 1990s, not as easy as this movie might portray.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Look, you just have to have your best friend's mom be a travel agent and unfettered 5 minutes of access to her computer.
That's all you
That's
need.
all.
That's
That's all you
all
need.
you need. If it's in the
They-
computer, they'll believe it.
They
You don't need an
foresaw
ID.
they
You
foresaw
don't need
what
a
was
company
going to
by an
happen with the
adult.
dark web.
Yeah.
It's the dark
Yeah.
web, the early days. There you go. Yeah.
I mean, for you young listeners, pre 9/11 was a wild time. It was the Wild West
So different.
of airline flights.
You could
So
actually show up within 5 minutes of the doors
People
closing.
would just go and hang out at the airport and go to like the food court like it's a mall.
Yes,
Like it's not
I'm
even
so
a
glad
thing.
you brought that up, because that scene where he is meeting, wait, is it Rita Wilson? I can't believe who. I can't remember if it's his date, the one with the funny laugh. But
His
like he's at
date
the
is,
airport.
is leaving to go
His
on.
date is leaving.
a
That's
trip.
right, and they're at the gate.
They're at the
They're
gate.
at the gate. Like young people watch this movie are just like, what is he doing? How did he get in there?
Yeah. You used to.
Well-
it didn't matter. Did you even need to show that you were with someone who was boarding
No.
a plane? It
No,
was
you
just,
did
it was
not.
a public building, like a library, folks. It was
Yep.
that easy to just go in.
You can
Yeah.
just walk in.
You could just show up
Because
to the
who else
airport
would
and
want to
through.
go to an airport? It's boring. Like there's no real reason to go there unless you're going somewhere.
This could go real dark real fast. So let's bring it on back to Sleepless in Seattle.
I wasn't even thinking that way, and then we'd all just kind of got quiet a little bit.
Yeah.
So we have Tom Hanks, Sam Baldwin, Meg Ryan, Annie Reed, and they share 2 minutes of screen time together. They don't even kiss. They barely exchange any words together. What were they thinking? How did this movie get made? Like how do you pitch this, Darren?
Gosh.
How do you pitch this to the studio? What do you say about it?
I would
that says-
start with, it's gonna sound crazy because it is. What if they didn't meet until the very? No, I was reading about that in the Wikipedia and the sources on this, and I was like, wow, yeah. How? I'm not surprised that like 6 studios turned it down and were like, so wait, you have the chemistry of these two, and you're literally not going to put them in the same scene, like almost ever. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense on paper.
Apparently,
at
Kim
all.
Basinger. They showed the script of Kim Basinger trying to get her as Annie Reed, and she's like, "This premise is absurd for that reason," and then turned it down.
I would say that I understand where Kim Basinger was coming from with that.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
let's wade into the territory here, right? Annie, I made the drive basically between Baltimore and DC many times. And while I know that if you get caught between the moon and New York City, the only thing you can do is fall in love, I would have never thought that Baltimore and DC would have been two romantic poles like that. But as she's driving along and she hears on the radio some sob story, and she rearranges her entire life around the idea that she's going to go off and meet this person, I want to throw out to you, gentlemen, that coming at it as somebody viewing it for the first time, if I were assessing the screenplay, my problem would probably start with the fact that we're introduced to Bill Pullman's character and he's a decent enough guy. And then the moment that she announces that she's going to get married to him, all of a sudden the movie decides, you know what, we should really work hard to make it seem like this is a giant pain in the butt. And you scratch your head and say, why did she say yes? Because it's not like these things were news to her when he started sneezing during the Christmas dinner. So I pose this question to you, gents. As you watch this, why did Annie say yes to him to be his fiance?
I don't think, and you can rephrase or you can elaborate a little bit, but like, I don't think she said no because he was weird or odd or because he sneezed or was allergic to anything. I didn't get that at all. I never got that as a read. Like, I don't think that they were showing him as, a pain in the ass or someone to be embarrassed of. And that's why she left him. I think it was just like, oh, she wanted that spark, she wanted that magic, she wanted that fantastical,
I,
you
I'm
know,
I'm
magical
saying
relationship.
the movie overcorrects for him. He's not just bland. He's like she has reaction shots when he's, as the movie goes on and he's talking about sort of the hurdles, like when they get to dim sum and his first reaction is, does it have wheat in it? Um, and then she has a moment and you see that moment on her face. I think the movie overcorrects and makes, I think that it works to make her eventual departure from him inevitable from the beginning, as opposed to showing him as just he's just instead of just showing him as just a normal guy, he's like a special case in a sense. Like the movie is trying to do it
Yeah.
comically, but it's trying to
Yeah.
show that
No,
like,
I
oh, well, there's no way she could ever be happy with this guy. And so my question becomes, since the movie works so hard to show that, why would somebody have said yes if, like there's no apparent spark between them at all before she even hears the radio? And it's like, I don't get why they fell in love to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I agree with Tristan in the fact that Annie never, except for maybe a few wide-eyed moments, like she is not basing her leaving Walter. It's only based around not having that spark, not actually feeling like she's in love with him or what love should be or whatever she's believing it to be. But yeah, John, you're right. They really be like, "Hey, look, here's the package deal. This is what you're getting." You know, having to count wheat particles every time you make food for the rest of your life. And yeah, they over indulge in, yeah, like why would you even want to go with this person? And maybe I don't know where they would have put it in the movie,
Well,
but like where else they could have, like I don't see anything of their relationship. We see the moment he meets the parents and then like the fallout. So like we don't get any of the, where did they meet? Why did they, like, is she settling? Is she not settling? Is she like what, like we don't know any of that. All we know is that he doesn't like wheat. And so
I would have to speak to that point. What I'm saying is, I would have appreciated even some sort of conversation with her Rosie O'Donnell friend where she's saying, well, I mean, we've been going out together for a number of years. We
right.
should get married. We've been together for so long. So that, to your
He
point,
gets me.
Darren,
He loves
right,
poetry like I like poetry or
exactly.
something.
Well, she does have that conversation.
She does? I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
At what point does she have it? Because
She
I'll
has
be
that
honest, I
exact
kind of
conversation with
tune in and
Rosie
out at
O'Donnell.
points.
Like she has a breakdown, and then she's like, "Walter, of course I love Walter. I'm a fool not to marry him. We work
That's
together."
right.
Different.
Where she's
Different.
planning New York and she's like, "Oh, that'll be fine. I can go to the Empire State Building because I'll be there with Walter." And then she's like, "With Walter? What am I doing?" Yeah, she has that kind of.
Hey, what am I doing? That's not the conversation I'm looking for. I know the conversation you're talking about. I'm talking about something earlier in the development of the script where she's announced she's getting married, and then you have her coworker saying, "Oh, wow, you're engaged?" Like a surprise sort of thing, like, "Oh, you are?" And then she says, "Oh, well, yeah, we've been going together for 2 years. We might as well," like where you get the sense that she's doing it just because it's what's expected because they haven't broken up by this point, as opposed to the conversation you're talking about. I mean, I just think
Well,
it's missing
she has another conversation with her brother
where she
where,
talks
like,
about getting cold feet. That's not
yeah,
I I
I'm, s-
think
I'm, s-
I know that you love the movie. I know
no,
that you love the movie. But
no,
what
that
I'm
doesn't.
saying,
This is not that
yes,
argument. You need to make the argument,
I am
and
making the argument.
but you're missing
You're
the
being
points in the
stubborn.
film where they address
I'm
your
not.
argument.
No, I'm not. I'm not. Those points are not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in the movie, it never presents a reasoning why she's in love with Walter. There's a conversation where she says, "Of course I should be with Walter." There's a conversation where she has with her brother where she says, "Oh, maybe I'm just getting cold feet." But I don't ever get the sense from the beginning of the movie. I never understand why she's with him to begin with. It's beyond any of the any of the stuff that he has going on with him. It's beyond anything like that. I never sense, maybe I'm just saying like, and trying not to say because I think it's such a clunky sort of thing. I never feel any chemistry between her and Bill Pullman. Let's contrast it with When Harry Met Sally.
Bill Pullman could have been any actor,
Well,
almost.
but
Like,
but it's even beyond the any actor thing. I don't get any meat on the bone with these characters' relationship. I don't see anything where I would see these two people interacting and say, yes, it makes sense that they're in a relationship. There's no affection that I see on
I mean,
screen.
if she had just
Isn't
married
that
him
the
for a few more
point, though?
years, she would have been the first lady. It could have been great. She missed it by that
By
much.
that much, by that much. Yes, it's the point, Tristan, and that's the problem, is that it spends all of this time putting her in a situation. Again, let's contrast it with When Harry Met Sally, where the whole thing is the organic growth of their relationship over time, and we see the hits and the misses and the spark almost firing and those sorts of things. Bill Pullman feels like just, oh, well, she's gotta be in a relationship in order for us to tell, this movie. Like, you could excise Bill Pullman from this script. You could excise Walter's character and just have her be somebody who's never met the spark. And I think the movie's more charming if she's not in that relationship, is what I'm saying. Like, it sets up the relationship. Maybe I'm just reacting to the fact that I know the minute they introduce Walter, I'm like, well, of course she's going to discard him. So I never make any emotional effort to get connected to him through the movie. And it, uh, maybe it's as simple as that. It's like, you don't need the Walter character. You can just have her at the Christmas dinner and everybody's like, when are you going to meet a guy? When are you going to, find that special spark or something like that? And then she's driving for some reason to go back to work after the dinner. And then she hears on the radio and she goes, I think I found the guy. And everybody's like, you're nuts. He's in Seattle. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not trying to rewrite the movie, but I'm saying, I honestly think if I were sitting there in the story conferences, I've been like, you know what? I don't think Walt's necessary.
I mean, I don't think. I think that is a solid point, but I feel like that's more of a condemnation of romantic comedies in general and film in general than it is specifically this movie. Because whenever there is some sort of, I don't want to say triangle, but whenever there's a romantic comedy and like a man needs to get with a woman and there's needs to be obstacles in the way on both sides, there's your the woman is almost all, I'd say 99% of the time is going to have a man that you're just like, oh well, this is the guy that's going to get dumped by the end of the movie to go with the lead. And so basically the way to salvage that, if you're going to use that trope, to me personally, is what I can't stand in movies and in comedies and things like that, is when they make the guy the biggest asshole in the world, where they're just like, oh my gosh, like this guy is the complete opposite of this person. He hits children, he kills animals, he doesn't put his card away at the supermarket, like that kind of stuff. Like that's what I can't stand. With this kind of thing, I can totally excuse a lack of chemistry. I can totally excuse a lack of backstory, because I have seen dead marriages before. Like I have seen fiancés and husband and wives where you're just like, where did you meet? Holy crap. Why are you guys even together? Like, you might as well be business partners or people who just live together. And so to me, this doesn't seem like out of left field. Could it have worked without Walter and with the way that you described it? Yeah, I think so. But I also really enjoy some of the comedic moments that Bill Paxton brings
Pullman.
to the Pull. I did it.
You did it. You walked right.
I swore to myself that I wouldn't do that tonight.
Just like Fry when he drinks the 300 cups of coffee, we should have like a little ding on in the lower right-hand corner of how many times somebody screws up and says Paxton when they mean Pullman. So that's number one. Ding.
So I get that. I don't agree with it. I get it. I think it's a larger condemnation of romantic comedies and film structure in general. But I think I like the character because of the comedy that he brings, because he's an eccentric. I like that he's not just a cardboard cutout of a man who's just there to fill in some lines. He actually is funny. Like the moments when it says like she's like somewhere in Duluth, and he's like, it's North Dakota, or like when like in the dim sum thing when he asked if there's weed in it. Like, I laugh at that every single time. Or when he said he's like, I had to have him size it down. She had really
We're
fat
asking
fingers.
for a bottle of Dom DeLuise, which is a terrible joke. I get it.
Terrible
I
joke.
totally get it. But you know that waiter was like, yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your superior wit.
And then there's moments when like Annie is describing something where she's like, Walter said the funniest thing. What was it? You know, and she's laughing to herself, where she is in love with him. She knows that she's in love with him, or at least she thinks she does, even if her friends don't understand it or get it. So I get what you're saying about removing Walter, but at the same time, I think that you're glossing over a lot of stuff.
I don't think I'm glossing over a lot of stuff, but I will show a little bit of leg here that I have a specific distaste for, and this might be my biggest challenge with romantic movies in general. I don't like when somebody is emotionally faithless in a relationship,
I get
and it bothers me. It bothers me, and maybe that's why I think Walter should be excised from the thing, because you're talking about obstacles. You have the biggest obstacle of all: two complete strangers, one of whom has only ever even heard the other's voice, separated by 3,000 plus miles. I think it's a big enough obstacle. I don't think you need any other obstacles. But I mean, that's just me. I'm a crazy guy. I'm
so marking John down as no-go on the premise right off the bat. Okay, all right. So
it's a problem. It's a problem.
So one thing I want to talk about is, I mentioned Kim Basinger earlier. So apparently, who knows if this is true? This is what we always mention. Who knows if these trivia facts are true? But the role of Annie Reed was originally offered to Julia Roberts, who turned it down. Kim Basinger was also offered the role in the early script process, but turned it down because she thought the premise was ridiculous, as mentioned previously.
Kim Basinger and Pfeiffer, me. Oscar winner Kim Basinger and John Mills, simpatico.
After Michelle Pfeiffer, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Jodie Foster declined it, Meg Ryan landed the role. Is there anybody on that list that you guys think could have pulled this movie off besides Meg Ryan? Roberts, Basinger, Pfeiffer, Jason Leigh, Foster.
Sharon Stone. I think Sharon Stone.
Really?
I think Jennifer Jason Leigh could have pulled it off. Yeah, I do.
No.
Oh,
that's another thing we disagree on. Holy crap! You think Sharon Stone could do this?
Yeah, I do.
Man, I
do.
I hardcore don't see Stone in this.
I completely can see Sharon Stone in this. I know
can. That she can be funny, but I don't think I've ever seen her in this lighthearted, bubbly, neurotic kind of thing.
Well, then, my friend, you need to see Alan Quartermain in The Lost City of Gold or King Solomon's Mines. Then you'll understand that Kim Basinger can deal with. Yeah. By the way, just say, in case anybody's wondering, I do say that ironically because those movies are terrible. But no, I could see Sharon Stone in this. Absolutely, I could see Jennifer Jason Leigh, because I can see Jennifer Jason Leigh in just about anything. I think she's a wonderful actress, and like if you put her in a movie, I'm like, oh, I'm interested. I don't know. I think that Sharon Stone might have brought I don't know why. Maybe she brings a more serious edge to the character. Like maybe that's why I could see it play. I don't know. But yeah, I can see those two playing it. Sure.
Darren, what about you?
Oh gosh, I keep feeling like it's a Meg Ryan movie. I have a really hard time separating the role from her. Uh, I mean, just this. There's something about Meg Ryan's roles. I think of like Inner Space. I think of again like with Harry Met Sally, where like it. Not that someone else couldn't play the role, and not that you're not. And I think you're right, John. Like some of your suggestions are like I could see them in that role, but once Meg Ryan takes over something, it just distills into that. At least for me. So I have a really hard time. Now I have an easier time kind of looking at the other of like, well, who is she paired up with? Because I've seen her paired up with many different, leading men. I mean, often Tom Hanks. He's got a little higher percentage than some of the others. Not like Bill Paxton, but
Ding!
Hey,
no,
There you go.
Hey,
was on
that
was on
was
purpose.
actually
It still
correct usage.
counts.
And also, another correct usage of Bill Paxton is that apparently for Tom Hanks' role of Sam Baldwin, Dennis Quaid, Michael Keaton, John Travolta, John Ritter, and Bill Paxton were considered for the
All
role of
right.
Sam
If
Baldwin.
you
See, I
had Bill
could see-
Paxton
I
and
could see
Bill Pullman
Quaid.
in the same movie, the universe eats itself.
It would explode.
Yes.
I could see Quaid. I
I think
I think
Quaid.
Keaton would probably be my favorite from all of them. I think Keaton could have
Gosh,
nailed Sam
I
Baldwin.
have never really seen him in many romantic roles. I'm not that he hasn't done it. I just haven't seen it personally.
I would have liked Keaton more because I think Keaton would have been funnier with the kid. I think Hanks is a funny
Yeah. I could see
actor,
that.
but I think Keaton
he would have been a
has-
different kind of dad, but I
Yep.
think he would have played it really well.
And I think he can do certain types of reactions with kids. Like there's a certain type of reaction shot with Keaton that I think would have played really, really well with some of those moments.
Yeah.
While I have to agree with you, it's hard for me.
Contractually has to agree.
I
That's true.
contractually have to agree with you because of the unspoken that we have amongst us. But the moment that like the scene that Tom Hanks and Ross Mallinger, I don't know how you Jonah, like when they share that scene where they both break down, and Jonah is just screaming at Sam. And he's just like, "Oh, shut up, Jonah." It's like, shut up. Mom never told me to shut up. Mom never yelled at me. And he's just like, he's like, "Have you ever seen Fatal Attraction? You wouldn't let me." He's like, "Well, it scared the shit out of me. It
You
scared the shit
wouldn't
out of
let
every
me."
man in America." I love that scene between the two of them. I think they worked off of each other really well. Do I think Keaton could have done more of that and do it better? Yes, but at the same time, I don't want to knock Hanks in the process.
Oh, I wouldn't knock Hanks. The Hanks is right on the precipice here in 93 of transitioning to serious actor Tom Hanks. And in a sense, it's really interesting because I remember this movie and I remember when Philadelphia comes out, everybody has this whiplash effect like, oh, Tom Hanks, serious actor. What happened? Oscar nominee. And this feels much more like a Tom Hanks sort of movie and makes it even more puzzling why he turned down When Harry Met Sally. You mentioned when we were talking about that he felt that script was too light. And I look at this script and I ask myself, what's the core? I have to believe that Hanks came at this and said, I missed When Harry Met Sally. I'm not missing this one.
No,
I think that has to be it.
I honestly think that's it. Yeah. I'm not going to make that mistake. Or what is it's like Billy Crystal, where he said like I think he was maybe offered Woody, and he turned it down. And so when Mike Wazowski came along, he was like, he considers turning down Woody the biggest regret of his career, and he's like, I'm not turning down anything they give me.
And that's really funny is because Tom Hanks was recording his lines for Woody at the same time that he was filming this movie, and that is just a mind bender of a time zone.
Yeah, it is.
So this is what Tom Hanks looked like while he was recording Woody.
Yes, this is Tom Hanks Woody era, which is so weird because I think the first one came out in 95, didn't it?
Right, but obviously you would have recorded all the dialogue earlier.
Before. And they actually,
before.
I think they had him they had him record a lot because he basically recorded a completely different movie
That's
when
right.
they
The more
first had him
jerk
come in. Yeah, the more
Woody.
jerk version of Woody. And then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh man, he's too much of an ass. So let's do the movie again."
I I want to go ahead and say that, Hanks as the architect and Ryan as the newspaper writer, that feels very 90s to me,
Very
because it's
Oh,
like
90s.
those were the
so
two most
90s.
popular,
What do you
like,
want to be when you
film
grow up?
professions.
As
Right.
an architect and
Everybody.
a newspaper person.
Right,
Oh,
like,
that's so
it's
true.
kinda like it bends my brain because I look at these jobs, and I remember there was a book I read many years ago where they said, the guy writing the book was like, "Oh, you never wanna write a script where the person just has an intellectual job or that they don't really do anything," like, something like a and I look at these jobs, and I'm like, this is such a tiny sliver of the population that can relate to what these people do for a living. Like, couldn't he just have some sort of bland office job that one of us who, dead-eyed drones could relate to be like, "Oh, yeah, I know what that's like."
Although,
As
yeah, they
opposed
do
to like,
say
"Ooh,
he's an
architect."
architect.
He
Yeah.
he has, like,
Some
all of
reason
these
I felt
different
he was
lights and
what was it? I thought he was a contractor based on that scene in the house. I thought that was his
It's
role. Like,
whatever, dude. It's
same
yeah,
thing.
but he's like an architect or a designer or something like that, and he's like designing dream houses for people, and I'm like, that's such a weird thing to go for. Like, I don't. It there's a side of me that's like I would prefer that sort of thing to be a little bit more of a, to use the term, everyman sort of thing, something that a larger portion of the population can
Like a
relate to.
teacher, or
Yeah,
something like that.
I'll give you a teacher
Like a middle school teacher or
or
something like
There
somebody
that.
who's just
was
like a director at a big company or something. It's like, yeah, it's that's
Or a
just where he
movie
is in his career.
director. Everybody's a movie director.
there was
Producer,
a
movie producer.
there's a
Screenwriter.
rom-com
Yes.
with David Duchovny and Minnie Driver that no one likes but me.
The
And it's
one about
called
the heart transplant, right?
Yes, it's called Return to Me. It's about a heart
Oh,
transplant,
that's my
and
wife's favorite movie. I've seen it so many times.
I
It's so
friggin'
good.
love that
It's
movie.
so good. So good.
I'm
Return to Me.
so
Yeah.
happy to hear you say that
No,
because it's
I'm dead
beautiful.
serious. Like, she loves that movie. I've seen it dozens of times.
Yeah, David Duchovny, he is a contractor. That's what he is. Builds with his hands, but like he's kind of like a top level contractor. So like he still builds with his hands, but he's got a little moolah in his pocket. It's a little bit more white collar. Minnie Driver, waitress. Her father owns the place, but she's a waitress. These are all things that people can relate to. It's hands-on work. It's not just a drone in the office, but at the same time, it's not like what I do, where like my grandfather doesn't even know what I do. Like that's kind of my litmus test. If my grandfather doesn't understand what the job is, then you're missing some of your demographic.
That's true. Yeah, it's that one and While You Were Sleeping. That's another one of her favorites, which I think is a
Oh, While
smaller
You're Sleeping
known
is a
one.
5-star film.
That's also
Uh,
Bill Pullman, isn't it? Isn't he in that one?
no, it's Paxton. I'm just kidding. It's Pullman. Yeah, it's Bill Pullman.
Jeez.
Ding.
Yes, that's also Pullman, pre-president.
Okay, so
Yes.
Jonah Baldwin, what did you think about Jonah in this movie as part of the story, as the character, as kind of the thing that moves some plot forward? Did you like the actor? Did you like the character? Did you think it should have been reworked? John, I'm going to go to you second. Darren, what do you what do you think?
I definitely want to hear your opinion as well, Tristan, because I know you don't particularly care for children actors in
I
general.
don't.
But I liked him. I felt it was it was a nice little bite size of a role. He had to sell caring for his dad and not just like, I'm on set this week. And I think I had read that he was actually like an earlier not an earlier choice, but like he wasn't the original cast and it wasn't working with the original choice, and they went
True.
back to him, which it's like, hey, if it's not working, it's not like it's this. That part has to be sold. So no, I liked him. I liked Ross as Jonah. I mean, again, it's very blank check to like, and we're just gonna go to New York and just make it work. I mean, yes, it's the 90s and we're going to insert these like acronyms that kids say, which no, they don't. Nope,
No,
nobody
kids
says
don't do
that.
that.
That's
Nobody
Kids
not
said
never
it
did
in the
that.
90s.
Not
kids
in the
Nope.
never did
90s,
that.
not in the 80s, not
We
today.
never did that. But you know what? I
0%.
can look past that because there's other issues that we'll get to. But no, overall, I liked Ross. I think he did a great job as the kid. And you know, he's a all he has to be is the kind you'd want to tussle his hair. He's got that little bit of magic, and you could see Annie, you know, wanting to be his mom. You know, it was cute.
John, why do you hate children? Let us know.
Oh, jeez.
That's why I had 3 of them, is because I hate them so much. Okay. So I don't fault the actor at all, but I think that the script
Wait.
is
That was a punch, and it was a long drawback, and then
It's what we
it
call a
slowly
rope-a-dope.
swung
we call a
around,
rope-a-dope. I
and
just
at the
swing one
end-
fist and then I hit you with a southpaw.
And we're like, okay,
Bam,
here's a
jab
so,
right there.
here's a so, boom.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a rope-a-dope if you see it coming a mile away?
Yes. That
Okay.
makes it the worst kind of rope-a-dope.
Gotcha.
The writing is by people who don't either have children or understand how children actually are. To speak to the other thing about these acronyms, it's like, oh, somebody's trying to make fetch happen. Cool. All right, I see this. But I would love to see what they filmed with the original kid, because Hanks apparently didn't like that kid and got him fired. And how would you like to be a kid whose career, like your parents are like, this is it, you made your big break, you're in a movie with Tom Hanks, and Tom Hanks gets you fired. That's got to
ruins
ring
Forrest Gump for you.
Yeah, it does.
I was reading he was being annoying, like kind of off camera, like in scenes he wasn't in. So it was making it difficult for Hanks to do the actual other scenes. And I'm like, dude, just go to your trailer. Like, you don't have to be here. Like,
Yeah,
you got a good thing.
You'd think. But you'd think somebody could say, hey, come on over here. Let's go to your trailer where we have a stand-up video game. Let's go play. Hey, we got the Nintendo. You can go over here.
I was going to say,
what
would we have had in 93?
Yeah. You know, the Super
that sounds
Nintendo
like a
was out
handler
by then.
failed at their job on that one.
Yeah, it does. But that kid is going to live the rest of his life with that. That's got to sting. It's got to sting. Great icebreaker at parties, though. But I don't.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, now I have this entire image in my head, like the glass, the ice is clinking against the glass. He's like, you know, I could have been somebody.
I view him as Keanu Reeves' character in The Last Time I Committed Suicide, which is a delightful little film that nobody in the world saw but me.
Then what a great poll to relate to the audience.
You know, I'm trying to let people know movies to see that they might want to spend their time watching. It's a charming little movie. It's about Neil Cassidy, the true father of the Beat movement. But I like the kid's fine. I'll never fault a kid for working with what's given to them. But I don't think the script does them any favors. It's a kid written by people who are trying to make the kid too adult, I guess.
That could be why I actually like Jonah. Is because he doesn't sound like a typical kid, and he doesn't act like a typical kid. Because when that happens, I usually can't stand it. Like with Stand By Me, like those kids actually acted like kids, and I knew those kids, and I hated those kids. I don't want to see those kids on screen. Jonah, I love seeing on screen because I think it's funny. And I love the conversation that he has with Tom when he's just like, so if you like if you start dating, I can't remember exactly how it goes, but he's like, if you get married again, are you gonna have sex with each other? And he's just like, I hope so. Like he doesn't stop, and he doesn't say like, why are you asking me this question? And then like he says about like screaming and scratching up her back and stuff like that. He's like, what? It's like Jed's got cable. And then he just like puts the towel in front of his face. He's like, Jed's got cable. That's a funny, endearing scene, but it's a very pseudo adult conversation. Like it's the type of conversation.
Scene.
It's a very scripted scene. Exactly. And like when Jonah's on the phone and the way that he acts with Dr. Marcia. And it says like, my, a hoe. My dad's been captured by a hoe. All fun stuff. Love it. But John, I can't argue that it's a script written by adults for a pseudo adult.
Yep.
Yeah, he's an old soul child because he
Yeah.
has to be for the plot to work.
And how he can get on the plane. I always laugh whenever I see Maggie Baldwin pop up in his fantasies, and I'm just like, oh my god, it's a Bond girl.
Right, yeah.
Tom Hanks was married to a Bond girl.
He married well. What can you say? You married a Bond girl. Congrats. Well done. Hey, good for you.
There's a lot of fun faces that pop up in here. I mean, we got Francis Conroy, David Hyde Pierce, Rita Wilson, Victor Garber.
So when David Hyde Pierce shows up, I'm
Right.
like, is this all a big elaborate episode of Frasier? Because it kind of feels like it. Like it has major Frasier vibes to me.
You're correct, because there's an on-air psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever, on-air therapist who is the driver of the plot. It's in Seattle, and he even has a line where he says, nobody likes Seattle. It rains all the time. And like, Frasier came out in 93, the same year this film did. And I'm like, that is just too weird. Obviously.
And he's a therapist himself.
Right. Yeah. So it's
and he's describing the type of relationship that is very similar to Maris.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Either we were going to get married or we were going to break up. Yeah.
So we got married.
Yeah. And some would say Cheers was a backdoor pilot for Frasier, but
some would say
it was. Some would say it'd be correct, but some others would be incorrect. Would say it was Sleepless in Seattle.
So Victor Garber, Rita Wilson, the dinner scene where they're talking about An Affair to Remember, which, they took a lot of inspiration from An Affair to Remember, and then they're talking about The Dirty Dozen. Could be one of the greatest dinner scenes in
I
cinematic
laughed
history.
so much when they're mocking it with the Dirty Dozen talk. Oh my god.
I will give this movie credit for the fact that I've had conversations like this while in relationships where myself and a guy friend mock like that whole thing where it's like, you're crying about this. I do love The Dirty Dozen. And when he's sitting there, he's like, when Jim Brown's running through, and he's throwing the grenades down the pipes. I'm like, yeah, that is a pretty cool scene. But stop it. That is actually very funny. That feels like a conversation pulled from real life. That's the sort of thing where I think Ephron, as a writer, can excel, is when she pulls that stuff from real life, or her co-writers or whomever.
This might hurt that epiphany that you had, because some say that this was improvised on the take, this discussion of The Dirty Dozen.
I wish you hadn't told me that.
I mean, but even if it was improvised, it very much could have come from one of the actors having a conversation like this in their real life. Like
absolutely,
it's so real. Like, it doesn't feel out of place.
And you give the director credit for letting the actors contribute something of worth, and saying, instead of being like, in Rushmore, they're my words, you mess with my script, saying, oh, that was good, we'll keep that. So that is a good thing.
Yeah, I think there's the thing that I really love about this movie is that, to me, there's so many of those scenes. There's so many of those moments. I didn't even watch this in preparation for this podcast, because I watched it not that long ago, just out of pure enjoyment. And I like, the whole thing is just burned across my brain. And so like, there's so many moments. There's just little moments, like with Jonah playing with a lobster, and Sam's like, stop it. And then he turns away and he continues to do it. Or when the babysitter is with Jonah, and then Sam starts to come down the stairs, and the babysitter kind of like kicks Jonah, and Jonah picks up the controller and changes the channel, because they're clearly watching something that they're not supposed to be watching. Or when Sam is waiting in the restaurant and he's building, like he's doing a little building out of sugar cubes because he's an architect. I think those are that's what really makes this movie to me, is these little moments as we move on. I mean, I should say, like, as I think back on this movie. Now, one thing that really stuck out to me was the use of popular music. And I think I think about the score sometimes, and I do remember the score, but the thing that really sticks out to me is the music that they used, like, Harry Connick Jr., and I'm blanking on other names, but to me, like, when Sam is walking out on the dock, and Annie is looking out at the sky, and we hear Blackbird playing, and it's just like they're not shying away from this song. Like, this song makes the moment. And John, you often ask us about the music, and so I wanted to ask you, like, did the score stand out to you at all? We don't even have to talk about it if you don't want to. What did you think about the use of popular music in this movie? Did you think it made it meaningful? Were you bland to it? Talk to me.
I thought it was fine. There wasn't anything. See, here's this is what's really strange and difficult to me, because it's one of those things where maybe there's some extra textual knowledge that's coloring my perception of it. But by this point, Tarantino's on the scene, right? And so, in a sense, like when Harry Met Sally, there's an adaptation aspect to the music that works really well. With this, I don't think it works as well. I don't think it's bad, but it's not that next level sort of thing. I think that the song choices are fine, but it feels a little too conscious. It doesn't feel as organic, I guess you
I
could
think
say.
it feels like a 90s romantic comedy, which has, like, this is what you do. You have music interjected. Not all the time, but, like, it's not anything new. It's done
It
well.
it feels a little too self-aware.
Mm.
Not like in an overbearing way, but it feels a little too conscious. Like there's something where you can watch a movie and a song plays and you're like, "Yep, that I don't see where like it's like when you cast the right person, you're like, I don't see anything else that could play in that." But there's a certain aspect to this score where it's like, yeah, I mean, it works, and there's nothing that doesn't work, but there's nothing that I think is spectacular about the musical choices. That's my take. That's just my take.
Darren, do you echo that?
Yeah, I think, just like I said, it feels like a 90s rom-com formula. And not in a negative way, just not like, oh man, just wow, what they did with the music, it like just took it to the another level. I didn't know romantic comedies could be like that. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's good. It's well used. And um I think, just like quotes in a comedy, you know, like when I hear uh you know what is it? And when I fall, no, which is the last song, Make Someone Happy. And here I always think of this movie when I hear
Yeah.
that song. It is linked, and usually you'll have like one or two songs that are just linked to a movie in such a way that you will instantly think of it. So I think if it does that, then it's doing its job.
So before
You have
we
it on vinyl and laser. We know all of that, Tristan. You didn't
I
have to.
wish I had this on vinyl. We did have the cassette tape, though. We had the cassette soundtrack of this, and we would crank Blackbird at full volume. Oh, my mom would just, like, stomp her feet and just, like, really get into it. Uh, so one thing that we haven't mentioned before we give our ratings, we did not mention that the previous director that we spent so many weeks talking about has, it's not a cameo, like, he's straight up supporting character in this movie. What did you guys think about seeing Reiner again in front of the camera? Did you think it was a good friendship with Tom? Do you think he added something, like, specifically with that conversation when he says tiramisu?
That is the thing I remember from the ad campaign. I Tiramisu became a thing after this movie, and I yeah, I remember tiramisu becoming a thing after this movie, And at least in my section of the world, it wasn't a thing before this movie, but after this movie, tiramisu was a thing. And then when I found out what tiramisu was, I was like, oh, cool. Okay, that's fine. And everybody felt the need to order it on their first dates and all of those sorts of things for a time afterward. Um, but all that to say, Rob Reiner has just an easy on-screen comic persona, and I think that you could put him in any scene, and it's fine as long as you put him as the right character. He's not going to play as Jonah, for instance. I kid, but like he wouldn't have worked as
Dad, I
watched that
want you to
movie.
get another wife.
Yeah.
Well, son, you're I don't know. I want you to move out. So
Son, how have you balded already? Like that's what I'm unclear on. But I think that like he wouldn't have worked as Walt. He works in this role though. And I think that he's funny in this role. And so I enjoy seeing Reiner.
No,
like
he
when
doesn't
Reiner's
go
in the
by
right role,
Walt.
he's good.
It's always been Walter, even his mother.
That's right.
Everybody calls him Walter.
That's right.
I honestly, I had to double take him. Like, wait, who's Walt? Oh, Walter.
Much more interesting if Walter was Walter White, and then the movie takes on a whole other dimension.
So all right. So here we go. We're here. We've had our discussion. We've had our highs. We've had our lows. We've had our song cues, our meet cutes, and everything in between. And Darren, I'm going to go with you first. How many letters of neurotic fan mail are you giving this piece, this movie?
Yeah, it's. I almost feel like I'm like the counter to Tristan's family watching it every third Thursday on at the Riddell house, but because there's some things that are hard for me to get. Like Annie's plot is batshit crazy. Like she literally like
I don't think I've ever heard Darren cuss before. This is the greatest thing in the world.
But we always have the laughs at the end of the podcast. That's what we got to do now. But no, like seriously, when she travels there, tracks him down, watches him leave with his son in the boat, then follows in the car. It's
I joke about that all the time with my wife.
Stalkery-ish.
Yeah,
like,
stalking is exactly the word you're looking for.
If you switch the genders,
yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh
if it's a dude doing this is a horror movie.
You put a little bit of like little scary like trail music in the background. You're like at night, it's like sundown is coming. She's checking the
circus music.
Like it's just shy of her when he leaves in the boat, going into his house while he's not there and like sniffing his towels. Like it's just shy of that. But when she's standing in the road, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is going? I was thinking, because again, I couldn't quite remember the whole plot. So I'm like, is she going to get hit and then be in the hospital and that's how they're going to meet? Because like that would be kind of interesting. But no,
while you're
instead they say hello.
Prequel.
Yeah. And then she leaves. And then the next shot, she's back in Baltimore with her friend. And I'm like, so like 12 hours later, cut to the next shot. And I'm like, what is going on here? So yeah, man,
this is why Michelle Pfeiffer said no, or this is why Kim Basinger said no.
Yeah, if I was a movie executive at this time, I would have been like, I mean, I'm sure that wasn't in the script that was being presented at the moment because I know it had gone through 4 or 5. It went through a lot of revisions, which is amazing that it landed on the box office success that it was, because it sounds like this movie very easily could have not been a classic, could not have been good.
And what was the return? Do you remember, Darren? What was the return on this?
So it was like a 20 mil budget with like a 220 return, like 220 million. So that's a lot. It made a lot of money. And all those.
I'm glad that you brought that up there. I'm not just the money, but like the whole stalkerish thing. And if you switch the genders, it becomes a horror movie. I think that's the thing, is that if it if it was somebody else, like, I don't know, let me come up with a name just out of the blue. If it was like a Sharon Stone type of person, like this easily
Hurtful.
could this easily could have been a horror film, or like Stalkerish or Fatal Attraction or
Or it
something
makes me
like
think
that.
of like Double Jeopardy, where like
Oh
now
yeah.
she could do
The
whatever she
murder
wants.
one?
Yes.
Oh,
It's a
Well,
good
okay,
one.
the
okay.
point being in Double Jeopardy, she's the short version. She's accused of something. She goes to jail. She does her time, and the point is she can't be indicted for the same thing that she's already served for. So she basically has a blank check to do whatever she wants and be super creepy about it. Anyway, yeah. So Annie,
But
I'm
but
like,
you get what I'm
what?
saying, like, because
Oh yeah,
Meg Ryan makes
it
this okay.
it works. I think again, maybe it's one of those movies that on paper does not work or make sense at all, and they just happen to capture that magic by hook or crook. Because yeah, her, I get the whole like I'm searching for love. Honestly, the only thing that makes it even pay off is when Hank sees her for the first time and has sparks. If there wasn't that shot, I would have been like, you are a random lady who listened on the radio and is interjecting yourself into this guy. Like, but because he's kind of reciprocating and she's becoming, it's basically the Little Mermaid. It's like she sees him, he sees her, but he doesn't recognize who it is. And then they sees her later and he's kind of has this like connection. Anyway, I'm not going to swear anymore, but, so I can't give it more than a 3. Like, again, not that it's not a good movie, but it is, there are way better rom-coms, way better comedies for me that I would rather pop in than Sleepless in Seattle. So I'm giving it 3 3 stars across the American sky.
So, John, how many youthful acronyms are you giving this film?
Now, I want to go back to last week when we were talking about romantic comedies and how I said I'm very trepidatious about going into them because when I love a romantic comedy, I love a romantic comedy. And when I don't, I really don't. I I I have a hard time because it's very easy for me not to love a romantic comedy because of certain factors that go in. Um, there is a part of me that hated this movie, and it is because at the core of it, a person, doesn't matter whether it's a woman or a man, okay, a person decides to throw away everything based on the drive between Baltimore and DC that I've made many times in my life. Never managed to fall in love with a stranger one time on that drive. And I I think that becomes the first hurdle for me. I don't think that Walter is a necessary factor in the story. And so the time with him feels a little bit wasted. I don't feel the chemistry. There are moments that I enjoy. To your point, Tristan, about Rob Reiner, I think that his scenes are good. I laugh during his scenes. I think that there are specific moments that work with Hanks and the kid. I don't I don't care for really any of the scenes between Meg Ryan and Rosie O'Donnell. I've never quite gotten Rosie O'Donnell's career in the sense that like anything I've seen her in has ever really like made me look at it. And now I've never seen A League of Their Own, which is the point at which where everybody rolls their eyes and goes, "What? Are you kidding me?" But Rosie O'Donnell, even as a stand-up comic, I was like, "Yeah, okay." Um, And she doesn't do a bad job here, but just like Jonah, I don't think the script does her any favors. So, and I think primarily informed by the idea that I don't want to be too harsh because I'm a curmudgeonly, uh, old square. And this is maybe I didn't see this at the right time or something like that. And I just really don't care for the way that Meg Ryan emotionally abandons her fiance for no discernibly good reason. Um, Despite my instincts to rank it even lower, I'm going to give it a 2 because I'm feeling generous today. So that's a 2.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
God. Dealing with old, dead inside men. Good
Just
Lord.
because you're younger than both of us, Tristan, by a little.
Listen, that's the thing is I'm sure there are plenty of people who love this film. $227 million worth of people loved this film back in 1993. I wouldn't have been one of them. I'm just saying, I remember me in 1993. This would have been a 1 star. I'm being generous today, so I'm giving it a 2.
Oh, man. I was not expecting this kind of conversation tonight, boys. I have to be honest. Thought it was going to be much more cordial and a lot of less swearing. I'm looking at you, Darren.
Ding.
Well, I mean, obviously, I've talked about what works. I've hinted at what I will say could have been done differently. I will not relent and say what doesn't work. But this is not just a trickle of nostalgia for me. This is not just putting on rose-colored glasses. This is me jumping into a rose-colored tub, like in the abyss where I can breathe the liquid. Like that's the kind of nostalgia I have for this movie. Like I said, I have every moment memorized. There's just little moments all throughout that just creep into my brain at random moments. And I think this is a wonderful romantic comedy. I think this is extremely funny. I think it's extremely heartwarming, and regardless of its monetary gains, this is on a lot of top 10 and top 100 lists when it comes to movies that you should see before you die, and for comedy and romance and everything like that. These are on a lot of lists. So I'm not the only one in that regard, thankfully. However, I am the only one in this podcast. And so I give this an unabashed 5 stars. And because I think this is firing on all cylinders when it comes to the cast, the writing, the direction, the music, everything about it. I think the only thing that's wackadoo is the premise, but I feel like Meg Ryan goes out of her way to make it okay. And so what did I give When Harry Met Sally, Darren? What did I give that last week?
You gave that
4.5.
a 4.5. So
Yep, that sounds right. Sticking to it. When Harry Met Sally was 4.5, this is 5 stars. So, John, if you can resuscitate your black heart by squeezing it enough to tell us what we're doing next week, can you tell us what's up?
Next week, we're going to give Nora Ephron another chance at romance. And that's going to be You've Got Mail from 1998.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.